Welcome to the Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GTM Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Summer, just before we started the interview, you told me that you guys were scaling pretty fast, which is cool. And I think there's going to be an amazing origin story on what got you into the world of growth consulting.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be with you today. Yes, we're scaling fast. It's exciting. It's scary, exciting, and consulting. I am running Craig Group. It's a consulting firm. We do consulting, but we also do implementation. So I would say that we do more than just consulting advisory. And I have never professionally been a consultant before, even though I founded this business. So it's quite interesting. How it started, but truly I saw a need in the marketplace. I mean, like so many consultants, right? You see something and you say, I think I have a team, myself and my team, that can solve this problem. For us, it was the core issue was there's this huge disconnect with smaller companies. We call it lower middle market, 20 million in revenue, 300 million revenue, right? That's kind of the band. Where they can't afford professional consultancies with what they think of as that, which, right, we think like McKinsey, Bain. And even if they did hire them, they just give strategy and decks and they don't get into the nitty gritty because many of them aren't operators. So at Craig Group, we're operators, meaning all of us have run a revenue operations teams, sales teams, marketing teams. We've had to report to boards. We've had to connect the dots between marketing spend, sales effectiveness, up to a board deck. So we take that ops experience and we provide those services to the portfolio companies in the lower middle market. And that's the problem we solve.
I love this because I was a consultant myself at PwC. The model makes sense, right? When you hire the best talents you can find as juniors, you train them all the way up, hoping to retain them for 15 years, and then they have the opportunity or dream to become a partner.
Right.
Since I'm a business owner myself, I did a mistake at the beginning, but not anymore. I am not working with anybody who hasn't achieved at least what I'm trying to achieve, and ideally taught others to do it as well. Because how can you teach me to reach, 7, 8, 9 figures if you haven't done it yourself? Like how? You don't know. You have the Steve Jobs analogy is the 2D banana, but you don't know what it is to actually hold it in your hand, peel it, cut it, eat it. Like you need a full picture. You need to have walked the talk.
Well, and certainly no Steve Jobs. I don't know about the analogy, but I will say this, and we specifically work with private equity firms, and this is something that's really unique about what we do. I am not a private equity practitioner, so that's not it. The gap is that private equity is investing in these smaller portcos. So again, we're going to call that the lower end of the middle market. The function that they're missing is professionalized sales, marketing, go-to-market expertise, and that is what I can do. Right. So we offer that construct in the private equity framework. And that's what was different and new, right? It's like the private equity guys, they don't need me to tell them, they don't need me to tell them anything about what the deal structure, financing, debt structures, that's not it. But there's this huge gap in go-to-market excellence, technology, connecting sales, marketing, customer success, massive gap. And so that's, I guess that's my 3D banana that I bring.
I love that 3D banana. What problem do you solve? So sales, marketing, tell us a bit more about what's the number one problem that you solve for those PE companies?
Yeah.
What do you help them achieve as an outcome?
Yeah. So the number one problem that we solve is private equity underwrites a deal, right? They're going to invest in a deal. They've underwritten a portfolio company. And part of that underwriting is an assumption of growth, right? So it's not, we're going to keep doing the same. It's not, we're just going to grow by M&A. There's an assumption of, well, today we're at 50 million. Next year, we're going to be at 56, right? So what we do is come in and say, let's talk about that $6 million walk that you have. How are you actually going to get there? And then they say, we're going to sell more. And we say, to who? Our current customers. And we say, well, how? Right. So that's what we do. So we solve that problem. And it's truly a problem where many times in the past, I'd say maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there was just this assumption that management teams could just do that. Right. So like maybe the current CEO, the current management team had grown the business to 50, 100 million. That's wonderful, but it's very different than having an investor say, oh, but now I'm going to need to do 10 to 15% on top of that every year for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
Period. Right. So that skill set, which is identifying new markets, new opportunities. Maybe it's changing pricing. Maybe it's excellence with upsell, cross-sell. So what we do is we identify that growth walk, and we really define how that is going to be achieved. And then our team implements the processes needed to achieve that growth.
Mm-hmm. So a question that I think you're going to be flying on, but still need to ask it to you, Saber. What's the number one thing that has worked for you in terms of marketing to get the attention of the right people?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that despite being an operational marketer and having done that for, over 25 years, it's still always changing every day. And I'm sure many of us on this podcast today that are listening would understand marketing changes as fast as technology these days. I think that marketing now could largely be called technology. So we're always evolving, fast moving, we test and learn. I will say right now, in terms of demand generation, so pure, if we define that marketing as demand generation, LinkedIn has really been one of our strongest tools. And what we find to be critical for our private equity market is to people that don't know me, don't know my other team, don't know the other partners, we really have to build trust and we have to build knowledge authority. And that takes time. It takes quite a bit of time. Lots of touches. And I think that LinkedIn platform is doing a good job. If you run your campaigns well, it's doing a good job of allowing people to kind of create snackable content that does build trust over time. So that's our core marketing strategy is trust and thought leadership via the LinkedIn platform. And we really combine that with strategic in-person engagements. So we do believe that in-person engagements like curated dinners, special events adjacent to conferences where we're introducing maybe investment banks to our private equity clients and we're adding value to them, but we're doing it in real life. We find that those events adjacent to maybe a larger event we're sponsoring, plus LinkedIn, has been our most successful marketing channel that we're working with now.
It's interesting because whilst I see where you're coming from when you say marketing evolves as fast as technology, I think the tool for sure. The thing I can't help but thinking though is human psychology isn't. It's actually remaining pretty much the same. The problem is we live, and I keep on quoting this guest, but it was just so awesome what she said. We live in a trust recession time. And whilst human psychology hasn't changed, how sales resistant and even marketing resistant and even communication resistant people have become is insane. And having the right channels, the right interactions, and the way you talk about it, created dinner, adjacent events to conferences, is very much doing the non-scalable, having the one-on-one or one-to-few conversations, interacting, taking the time to do so. And I vibe with that.
Just a quick follow-up on that. You couldn't be more right. I love what your guests, your analogy around trust. And at the end of the day, what marketers do, good marketers, and me in particular, when I'm 18 years old in my first marketing class at the University of Texas, what we were really learning about is human behavior. It's human economics. It's what is currently painful in my world that I need to solve, right? Or what is so good to me that I want so badly that I'm going to solve for it, right? And even in B2B sales, B2B marketing, there's still that same human structure of something is wrong or something is, I love it so much, I need more of it. And you have to tap into those feelings. And really, you're so right. Trust that someone can truly relieve that pain. Whatever that B2B need is really what we're trading in.
I love that. Next question though. how do you go from that, Summer, from education, trust building, authority, problem awareness, solution awareness, to an actual sales conversation, an actual SOW, an actual letter of engagement?
Yeah.
Like, what does sales motion look like
Yep.
for you and your company?
Yeah, I'll start by saying, and I know many other, advisory groups like us will agree, it's hard. I think that in this market, people that do work in this, in the private equity ecosystem, it's actually really it's not that big of a group. And a lot of the people come from the same graduate schools, or they come, kind of from out of the same larger investment banks. So it can be a little clubby, and it is a challenge. It's a real challenge. Our sales cycles are very long. I want to say our shortest sales cycle has been 9 months from an initial conversation to having an SOW. That's as fast as we can get new business. So I think that's just a reality in some markets where there's going to need to be some significant trust building. And I think we can talk about that later, which is why repeat business is so important. So that's sort of an adjacent topic. But our go-to-market motion, we really believe that we have to have a significant number. It's really at least 5 for us, a significant number of meaningful interactions with decision makers at a specific private equity firm. And actually, one of the best ways we do that is by having many of our partners have interactions. So it's not necessarily just one person calling on one person. It's team-based trust building, because we've got a team of partners and experts that are so impressive and really help the investment teams understand the full breadth of what we offer. So we found that that's part of our go-to-market motion. So maybe that means having more than one person on a call. Maybe that means having someone take them to dinner where they're going to meet the rest of the group, maybe the next day at a conference. It can mean lots of different things, but for us, we have to have lots of quality trust building activities in order to get to an SOW. The issue for us is that the private equity firm could say, oh my gosh, this is exactly what we need. But until there's a portfolio company need, right? Until the timing is right on, okay, now we have a need, right? So then our sales motion becomes, if there's not an urgent need, right? Which typically really only comes if we are either lucky enough to get an introduction under LOI, or lucky enough to get an introduction right after M&A. If it's outside of that, it's really up to us to stay top of mind. So we're going to be sharing, hey, look at our work we just did with this other client. Look at these case studies. Hey, we did a survey of our clients. We'd like to share it with you. So we're going to be trying to constantly have added value messaging, interactions with them until we can get to timing. And timing is 100% related to the portfolio company timing. So again, those typically, right, buying and adding on a company, rolling up a deal, new platform, new M&A, or maybe a portco they've been holding it for too long and it's not doing well, right? And they're trying to offload if they want to sell, and we do a 12-month, kind of roadmap to increasing value for exit. So those are the times. But a lot of times for us, the sales cycle is being a partner, introductions, inviting them to events. That's really what our sales cycle looks like. And we have to be very savvy with the news, specifically the financial news and M&A news, to understand those timing triggers where we need to be in front of our partners.
So, I love this. Obviously, the business is going to come from, I was going to say inbound, which is not really true. It's more building those relationships with the right PE firms, building the authority with them, who can then send you their portfolio companies, doing this at scale, nurturing those conversations and those relationships, staying top of mind. What do you think? And here, I want to pick your brain a bit for the B2B coaches and consultants listening to us. What can we do to accelerate that? Like 9-month minimum sales cycle is insane. Now, it always depends on the value of the deal as well, right? If you tell me you have to wait 9 months and then I sell you a $100 million deal, I'm going to be like, I'll find a way to survive for the next 9 months. But what can we do to accelerate the sales cycle, Summer?
It's such a good question. It's definitely something that we talk about internally all the time. all the time. And really one of the ways that we've talked about it is as part of our education is really talking about time to value and urgency within the hold. So if there's an expectation of growth within that first year, so if the PE firm is expecting to have a story to the board in 12 months that has a growth story, there is no time to waste. This is an urgent go-to-market need. And a lot of times we have to educate, we have to really educate about that this go-to-market scale, like scaling a strategy in a team and getting it implemented takes time. It's not an easy button. It's not a switch. It's something that takes time. So we can really educate on, but we're really not talking, the urgency is related to just time to value, right? It's how long are you going to hold this and hope the management team can DIY it until you're ready to actually make a decision that's going to add measurable growth. So that's one way that we can, is really putting those terms a little, more stark. The other way that we bring this forward is really working with the PE firms that we've already worked with, right? That we've had a great engagement with. That is really the way that we can pull a lot of deals forward, which is making, and you think some of these PE firms are large and they don't do the best job of sharing amongst themselves. So we can help that, right? We can help that communication within the firm. So that pulls deals forward. And really the last way that we try to do it is by making extremely targeted referral requests. So we say, hey, Mr. Managing Director at this PE firm, hey, we have, who we're currently working with. I see that you went to business school with Sally over here, and she has this great PE firm and an awesome portco, and we have an opportunity. Can you introduce us to this person? And if we can get those really targeted and relevant introductions, that will also that closes a trust gap that can't be, that would take, again, 6 months, right? Without those kinds of introductions. Now, they're hard to, you have to be careful on who you're asking. It has to be really good, right? It has to be truly value add. So unfortunately, those are not, it's not what I would call scale, but it closes the sales cycle much to be a much shorter cycle.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Talk to me about retention. You kind of alluded to that a bit earlier, but how do you, to use the words that the partner who taught me everything back at PwC, there are the hunters and the farmers in consulting, right?
Yeah.
And as much as a lot of them are hunters, loving the smell of fresh blood in the morning, where the money really is in farming, taking that initial engagement and transforming it into a multi-layered, multi-year engagement involving other teams from the firm. That's where the money is. How do you do that?
Yeah, you're so right. And for us, and for many people that maybe do something similar, it's complicated. It's not quite as simple. So we intentionally work ourselves out of a job, right? We are selling strategy, we sell implementation, and there's many other tools that do have a long tail that we sell. But ideally, we're getting a scaffolding, a structure that can be done without us, or with a much more lower cost, maybe a 1099 internal resource. So by design, that's what we're doing. So when we say add-on business and retention, we're really not talking about retaining our actual client, which is the portco. We're talking about retaining the private equity firm as the referral partner. So it's not easy. It's complicated. No. We find that there's really two things that we have to do, and sometimes we get it right and a lot of times we don't, which is one of the partners at our firm has to keep a constant partner relationship at the PE firm and always be educating other deal team members, other managing directors at the PE firm, right? So that has to happen. At the same time, the delivery team for a specific portco, they also have to be creating content, creating little ways that they can say, hey, hey, Mrs. CEO, I know y'all have a CEO summit coming up soon with the other CEOs. Do you think there's anybody of that? So it's a two-prong, which is there's a delivery person who does have our delivery people are compensated for additional business. Not their core, right? Not their core day-to-day, but they are compensated for that because I think they are the ones that can see what could happen. So they're doing that while the partner is also really trying to make sure that everyone at the broader PE firm knows about Craig Group, understands the work that's being done. And we really try to have things like brief lunch and learns where we do a quick overview for all the deal team members, at a firm, where we make it value add for them. But it's constant. It's hard. It's something that requires at least 2 humans. Doing this is not something that can be just, there's no, this isn't like, oh, make sure they subscribe to the newsletter and, get that. That's not it. It's really got to be in the office adding value.
Yeah. Newsletters are great, but real human interaction are better. I think you've already quite talked about the challenges of growing a business like yours, Summer, and clearly you're doing good at it. Tell us about the number one opportunity that you're looking forward to work in 2026. Like, what's the number one thing that excites you about what's coming?
We have built a patent pending LLM agentic model. It's called Conduit. You can check it out. It essentially allows portfolio companies to do a if-then scenario planning for their forecasting. So saying, if I do this, if I pull this growth lever on the marketing side, what would be the outcome? If I pull this growth lever on the sales side and the marketing side, what would the outcome be? So powerful tool, especially for the lower middle market that does not have access to this type of modeling, that would also be manual and slow. And so we're so excited about that. And it really, dives into the way that we run Craig Group and what we do. I mean, we're so excited. I think that we're doing a good job, but we're about to be doing a really good job. We've fully operationalized some agents for our operational use. I think the efficiency that we're going to deliver our work for our clients and the productization of our work, we're here for that. I'm so excited. I mean, this is it. This is the time. I think we've already made some really big strides, and I'm energized. I'm excited. We honestly can't run fast enough in the space. And so for me, I'm really looking at, like, where can I cut down hours, cut down time, cut down people, and then have my valuable, smart, awesome people really solving deep problems and not spending time, analyzing data and, pulling decks together. So I'm really bullish on our product that we have. I'm bullish on what we can provide for clients.
Summer Craig, ladies and gentlemen. Summer, if people want to find out more about you, what you do, the secret of them that you're building, patent pending, where should they go?
Absolutely. Check us out at craiggroup.io. You can check us out at LinkedIn. Again, craiggroup.io. I'm Summer Craig. LinkedIn is probably the best way to hear from us. We post every day on LinkedIn, so lots of different voices to hear from.
We'll put all the links in the description. Summer, thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time. How was that, Summer?